Gumbel at the anchor desk with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. Here are the Big Five, the top teams in the country as we begin the season. The Michigan State Spartans come in as the #1 ranked team, followed by UCLA, UNLV, Louisville, and Indiana. What do you think of the top 5 teams going into the year, Clark?
Those are some terrific teams, Greg, and the thing I find most fascinating about the top 5 is the number of contrasting styles we see here. These teams couldn't be more different, and I love when we have that kind of diversity at the top of the poll.
Michigan State is in the catbird seat to start the season, sitting pretty in the #1 spot. These are the defending national champions, and they're getting a lot of respect going into this season.
Usually, last year's champs get the benefit of the doubt in the first poll of the next season, so we'll find out soon enough if their position in the top 5 is based on reputation or is warranted.
UCLA is in the #2 spot. They've got a whole crew of high school Mr. Basketballs on this team.
The team is usually happy to land one Mr. Basketball, but with the number they have, this could be a golden era of basketball success at this university. There's nothing but good times ahead.
UNLV comes in as #3. They're in one of the power conferences, Clark. You think they'll be able to withstand the tough schedule?
They're ranked highly now, but they're going to have to play a lot of tough games in that conference, and if they're not consistently playing at a high level, we could see them slip a bit.
Louisville starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. Their ranking is appropriate when you consider they have 4 former high school All-Americans.
If they get contributions from all 4 of those guys, this is going to be a powerhouse team. Their ranking is right where it should be, and I don't see them dropping if they keep it together.
Indiana is the #5 team. They were unstoppable last season, finishing with 28 wins.
Matching that record is going to be a challenge, but they simply got to forget about the past and get to the business of winning games right here, right now.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
We've seen plenty of future national champions come out of this group from the middle of the top 25. I'm not willing to say just yet whether that is going to happen again this year, but a few teams certainly have the potential.
The Utah State Aggies, the #8 team, have stirred up a lot of talk in the offseason. The pollsters must be really impressed with this mid-major team to have them so high.
They've earned the exposure and respect, Greg. The question now is, can they capitalize on it or not? If they keep their intensity up the whole season, maintain it, they should be well prepared come March.
The Alabama Crimson Tide, the #7 team, have also generated a lot of interest. Certainly, they'll get a big boost from the return of their leading scorer from a year ago.
That's a big advantage for them. They don't have to spend the first few weeks of the season searching for that go-to guy. They know who he is, and they'll use him.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams that close out the preseason top 25 poll. What do you think of this collection?
It doesn't get much weaker as you go down the list. Even near the end of the top 25, we see teams that could make a serious go at the national championship if things fell into place. I wouldn't count anyone out.
The Marquette Golden Eagles, the #18 team, probably deserve a closer look. They bring back 4 starters, and that should pay huge dividends for them this year.
After their Final Four run last March, and with many key players coming back, their confidence has to be sky high. I expect big things from them this season.
The USC Trojans, the #22 team, are also worth keeping an eye on. They had a tremendous year last season, finishing with 25 wins.
That total identified them as a team to be reckoned with in college basketball. I won't be surprised to see them reach or surpass that total again this season.
There were a lot of coaching changes this offseason, and we'll tell you all about them. You now see all the coaches who will be heading to new programs. Some very substantial changes can be seen, that's for sure. The Wisconsin coach is one of the hires that drew a lot of media attention. The Wisconsin Badgers have a lot of fans that are delighted to have a coach of his ability, Clark.
He's going to have to make do with the players he inherited for a little while. But once he can get a year or 2 of recruiting under his belt and bring in his own guys, I think this program will take off.
The Massachusetts coach also made a move to a new school, and that's generated some excitement on that campus. The Massachusetts Minutemen are a team looking to rebuild under their new leader.
He's never been to the Final Four, but he's hoping that this will be the coaching stop that gets him there. And this university and its fans are hoping the exact same thing.
We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. There before you are the 5 first-team All-Americans as we begin the season, and what a list it is. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are pinning their hopes squarely on this young man's shoulders, Clark.
Arnold is the first player on the list for good reason. Feels like this guy's been playing college basketball forever. This will be his 4th year as a starter. but I still don't take him for granted, and I think this will be his best season of all of them.
As for our next first-teamer, Maryland, he is more than willing to go into battle with him, Clark.
Okura is simply a spectacular player. It isn't out of the realm of possibility to say that he might even be a little bit underrated. I know it seems far-fetched to say that about a preseason All-American pick, but I'm not sure people realize just what a huge year he's in for, Greg.
Next up is a player that's drawing comparisons to some of the all-time college greats. The Michigan State Spartans are fortunate to have him in their corner.
Carroll is one of my favorite players in the country. We always talk about the guys with great hands. Well, he's got great feet. I love those happy feet. There are few players in the nation with better footwork than him, and that's what allows him to always be in the right position, whether it comes to rebounding or finding space for an open shot.
Let's move on to a player who's worked very hard to earn his spot on the list. The Michigan State Spartans can depend on a solid effort from him each and every night.
Snyder is going to play a huge role in his team's success. He's a former high school Mr. Basketball he was Iowa's Mr. Basketball in high school.
He was the best of the best in his state, but now he wants to prove that he's the best in the nation. He has the skills to do it, so we'll keep him on the watch list.
And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The Louisville Cardinals will probably get used to seeing him make the impossible look ordinary.
Hendricks is going to have his own personal highlight reel by the end of this season. He was his conference's Player of the Year last season, and there's no doubt he'll be back in the running for that award this year, too. In fact, he may have some say in the race for National Player of the Year.
As we move to the second team All-Americans, we can see there's no shortage of talent with this group. They're all elite players with the potential to dominate the game. The Washington Huskies have built their team around this young man's talent. I'd say that's a pretty good idea.
Demonby was close to a spot on the first team, but there was too much competition this season. Not only could he be depended on for scoring and defense, but he was the top assist man on his team last season as well. That kind of selfless attitude from your star player is invaluable, Greg.
Our next player is a tremendous talent in his own right. Villanova is in for a treat if he can pull it all together and have a great year.
Mobley is in the spotlight for all the right reasons. He was a multiple threat on the offensive end of the court last season, and there will be more of the same this time around. He led his team in scoring, and it's a lock that he'll do it again.
We can all look forward to some very exciting highlights from this young man this year. The Indiana Hoosiers are looking for a lot of production from him, and they probably won't be disappointed.
Barton is an extremely powerful weapon for his team. If I had to pick some frontrunners for the Player of the Year award, he would be right there on the list. I've seen him take over games even when he isn't scoring 30. There are some great scorers among these All-Americans, and he's one of them, but he does much more than score.
Our next All-American may have designs on the first team by the end of the season. UNLV has one of the most reliable go-to guys in the country in him.
McNaughton is one of the great talents in the college game today. He can make things happen on the basketball court thanks to his unique ability to read and understand defenses, while most players are just trying to come up with their next move. He's 3 steps ahead of the game, and that's what separates the good players from the great.
Here is the final player to cap off our list of All-Americans, the Georgetown Hoyas. Know who their fan favorite is going to be this year.
Merchant is ready to have a breakout season. There's plenty to like about him as a player. He's got that deadly combination of smarts and physical skills that makes him so difficult to defend. A coach's mentality in the body of a world-class athlete. Any questions as to why he's on the list?
All right, Clark, that should do it for us here in the studio. For myself and all of us here at 2K Sports, thanks for watching our season preview. Enjoy all the college hoops action to come, everyone.